Okay, so this is part two of me trying to repair my Vidor CN429. I think I found myself into a bit of a trap in that I thought I had a problem with the oscillator, and I've actually changed the capacitors on the oscillator and it didn't make any difference. It wasn't until I looked at the data sheet for the valve which does the frequency changing and the data sheet, and actually looked at the voltages that they were talking about. The voltages basically checked out reasonably okay, apart from this one here, which was the grid 2, which I've got 80 volts and apparently it should be in the region of 35. Now when I look at the circuit diagram, it would appear that this grid 2 is effectively the anode for this part of the circuitry. So it looks like yeah, you've got basically an input going in on grid 1 and then the output on grid 2, and that oscillates, and then you've got the input from the radio which goes in on grid 3, it looks like, and something magical happens in here and hopefully you should get well, I understand there's I think there's 3 different frequencies come out of this section here, which include one which is the intermediate frequency, which is then filtered out. Now, the reason I thought the valve was fine was because I found that if you put a static input onto here, you got sound generated on the output. So I thought that if there was a connection between here and here, that the valve itself must be sound, but I don't quite believe that anymore. So anyway, I've got another valve. It's just arrived a few minutes ago. This one here, apparently fully tested. So I'm now going to swap it out and then we'll see what happens, eh? Okay, well, I've got the new valve in. When I say new valve, this is the box it came in. Yeah, how long's that been sitting around? I don't know. Where did it come from? I don't know. Is it any good? I don't know. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the low tension on, which is my 1.5 volt battery up here, and just see if anything bad happens. No, all looks good to me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the high tension side. Which is here. Nothing bad's happening. Okay, moment of truth. Put the low tension on. What will happen? If I can get the battery to go in. Right, here we go. Go. Well, that was very underwhelming, wasn't it? Volume up. Oh! Sounds like the oscillator's running. That is definitely better than it was before. Well, I can say that we definitely have a working oscillator now. If I put that on there. There we go, nice sine wave on there. Okay, after a little bit of fiddling with the old capacitors put back in, and a little bit of in the dark fiddling, I've got it to work, sort of. Here we go. Are you ready? Right. Now basically that's the only channel I can get. And even then it's very sensitive. Okay, I'm still not getting very good reception, but I've took the aerial pack off and it looks like I have a wire that should be connected to there. So I'm going to do that and see if that improves things. Okay, a few days have passed. Started investigating with an oscilloscope and noticed that the oscillator was running incredibly fast. In fact, probably twice as fast as it should have been. And the fact that I was getting any signals at all was a bit of a mystery. But I've since started to change the capacitors, and every time I change the capacitor, it started to run a bit better. And when I changed one of the decoupling capacitors, the oscillator started coming down to some reasonable frequencies. Although it's not perfect, this is where I am. This is a cold radio, and I'm about to start it up. Let's see what happens.
Where this comes from.
Right, so how many channels have we got? Let's have a look. We've got that one,
About 2 feet away.
2,
Big branch from Rusty.
3, 'It's only got 3. Now there should definitely be radio stations in this part of the frequency. But the fact is, for some reason,
Film club tonight after 6. A home time listener needs.
but for some reason they're all in that little tiny area, and there's absolutely nothing on long wave either. So what I'm going to do is I've ordered a signal generator that should be able to produce the intermediate frequency, and then I'm going to follow the procedure in the documentation that I have to try and set the radio up correctly, and then we'll see what happens. But for now, that's where we are.
So, yeah, but you haven't put West Ham in your top 6. Well, no, it will be in your top 6.